Hi everyone, welcome in. I'm so excited to be here today with you sharing my favorite books of 2025. I read over 150 books this year, and these are the 9 that I cannot stop thinking about. I actually rated 23 books, 5 stars this year, but these ones just are like my tippy top favorites, so really excited to share them. And they're across multiple genres, and I've got them in no particular order, so we're just gonna go ahead and jump in. So first up here, we have Orbital by Samantha Harvey. This is a literary fiction set in space, and you're following 6 astronauts as they orbit the Earth over the span of one day, so 24 hours. And it's kind of just like musings on humanity and the planet and the environment and what really matters in life. This book really blew me away. It got me thinking so deeply and feeling so much. It was like both the emotional and intellectual punch that I needed, and I just really loved it. It changed my perspective and my ways of thinking about a lot of things, and it was just so beautifully written. It's got a really good combination of like details about the tiny things in life that are so impactful, and the tiny moments of connection between us and other people or us and nature. But then it also explores like huge topics, like crazy topics related to just like the impact of humanity as a whole, as a species, all of that good stuff. And although the premise didn't sound that exciting to me at first, ended up being one of my favorite books I've read this year, maybe ever. And also the cover is stunning, so beautiful. Book number 2 is A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Liang. And I read this as an ebook, so I will put a nice picture of the cover here for you. So this is a historical fantasy following Zishi, who's a Chinese myth. Gosh, what is she called in the myth? I think she's a goddess, if I remember right. So she's a Chinese mythological goddess, and she is recruited by the king of her empire, or the emperor, I guess, of her empire, to serve as a concubine in a rival empire and sort of serve as spy and infiltrate the enemy, so to speak. This book is like heartbreak in a novel. I can't even tell you. This really, it made me bawl my eyes out, and I cry relatively easily with books, but this one was like tears streaming down my face. Like I was so emotional when I was reading this book. The sense of longing that you get throughout the book is just incredible. This reads to me more like just like a historical fiction, or even a literary fiction in a lot of ways, less like a fantasy, because it is just a myth, a retelling of a myth. It feels less fantasy, less world building, less plot driven, more character development, more of moral questioning. For me, this really tackled one particular thing super well, which is that tension that I think we all feel in life between doing what feels right for you, or what's going to be best for you as an individual person, and contrasting that and trying to figure out what to do when you're faced with that is something different than what you're being told is the morally correct thing to do, or the thing that would be good for the greater number of people. I think that this book really pulls at that tension so well. And again, the writing, so beautiful. The characters, so beautiful. It is heartbreaking. So if you want a good cry, A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Liang is your book in 2026. Okay, next up, I have Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I know this one's getting a lot of buzz right now because I believe a movie is coming out about it. I don't really watch TV and movies, even when they're adaptations of things. I will watch this one because I'm super curious about it, but I know that this one's been getting a lot of buzz online lately, and I think it's for such good reason. This book, oh, so good. This one's pretty straightforward in terms of plot. It's a historical literary fiction novel that's following primarily Shakespeare's wife, but also really his whole family, as they are in the lead up to and then also coping with the fallout from the death of his son, Hamnet. So pretty straightforward premise there, but the execution on this is unbelievable. This book really, again, wow, 2 criers in a row here. A Song to Drown Rivers and then this, where this is so heartbreaking, especially as a parent of young children. Man, this messed me up so bad, but so good. You know what I'm talking about? It is like a slice of life in the simplest, most devastating way. I will say too, this one I feel incredibly partial to, largely because of the writing style. It literally feels like someone plucked my own internal monologue and the way my own thoughts are structured and the way they feel and the way I like talk to myself in my head and wrote them down on a page. So it's like run-on sentences, comma splices, half-finished thoughts, quick subject changes onto an entirely different topic. It just really read like my own internal monologue. And if you've read this, I would love to know if you felt the same way, or if this is like a me thing, or if everybody's feeling that. Like, that would be so fascinating for me to hear. So I love the writing style. It is beautiful. It is devastating. And just 10 out of 10. This is one of my favorite books I've ever read in my life. And I'm so glad I found it this year. Okay, number 4 on the list for me is actually a trilogy. Just bear with me, okay? I know I'm messing up my own numbers here, but it's the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. It starts out, the first book is called The Fifth Season, and it is a sci-fi fantasy trilogy. You are post-climate apocalypse, like thousands and thousands and thousands of years in the future, after the world has started experiencing what are called the seasons, which are these huge, what should be mass extinction events that the humans keep living through because of different mechanisms they've built up to kind of like combat the impacts of those extinction events. And they're triggered by like geological and tectonic plate shifting, like volcano activity, that kind of thing. So we're in this world thousands of years in the future, and we're following, in this first book, 3 characters who are at different phases of their lives, different geographical areas, but they all share one commonality, which is that they have this 6th sense that some human beings have developed as a, like they've evolved to have a 6th sense that can sense these geological happenings, and they can like interact with them, like with the plate tectonics and stuff and the geological activity and the shifting and the moving. So they have this 6th sense, all 3 of the characters you're following. And these people who have this ability are highly persecuted, controlled, monitored, treated as like a tool of the government rather than as human beings. And you follow these characters and you follow this world through one of these seasons. That's how the first book kicks off. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you really anything about the second and third books, but let me just say these books are so unique. This premise, the writing style, the characters are so different than any other sci-fi or fantasy worlds or character or plot that I've ever experienced before. I was blown away. I think about this world and the moral questions that came up in this series constantly. Like, seriously, you guys, every week I'm thinking about these books. And I have yet to find anything that's even remotely close or similar. So if you have read them and you have recommendations that feel like this trilogy in any way, shape, or form, any aspect of it, I will take it. Please comment them down below, because I am like so hungry for more of this. One of the things that made this a standout for me was the incredibly effective use of second person and how it changes throughout the 3 books. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, please just go read this series. It is phenomenal. I will say pretty heavy on the like sci-fi fantasies, and you're intentionally lost a lot at the beginning. So if you're not a reader who enjoys that, this may not be the best series for you. But if you've been reading sci-fi and fantasy for years and you're looking for something fresh and new and different and exciting, give this a try. I promise you will love it. If you love sci-fi and fantasy in general as genres, this is gonna feel incredible to you. It's so good. Okay, number 5 today is shifting gears a bit, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is a romance where our 2 main characters meet via a Reddit thread where they are both lamenting the fact that they are cursed in their love lives. Their curse is that every time they break up with someone, that ex finds their soulmate in the next person they date. So the 2 of them are chatting on Reddit DMs and come up with a plot to fake date each other so that then their curses will like cancel each other out. So they'll date each other, they'll break up, and then the next person that each of them meets will be their soulmate. So of course, it's a romance. So fake dating gets serious, and we kind of just go on more of a classic romance plot from there. Just to kick us off here on why I loved this book specifically, just prefacing it with, I love Abby Jimenez as a writer. I've read a few of her other books, and so far, all of them that I've read have been phenomenal to me, and this one's no exception. Her characters feel really real. They feel like real people, and they are experiencing and going through a lot of other things outside of just like the romance plot line. So they're coping with their relationships with other people, like family and friends. They're dealing with struggles in their jobs. They're unpacking emotional baggage and trauma from their past. So this book is no exception. I really loved our 2 main characters here as well. In particular, I just really liked both of them. Let me Emma and Justin, I've got my notes over here because I always forget romance character names. Anyone else? Just me? I don't know. I can never ever keep them straight. So this book made me laugh, made me cry. It just was holistically like a really grounded but fun premise for a romance novel, and I loved it. It was just a perfect summer romance in my opinion. Okay, number 6 is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This is I'm gonna call it a literary mystery set in a summer camp in the 70s, and in that 70s timeline, you are exploring and trying to figure out the disappearance of one of the campers at this summer camp. Simultaneously, that the disappearance of this girl in the summer camp has sparked people's investigation again into something that happened 14 years ago, the disappearance of another kid on this same property. It is the reason I say it doesn't read just like a classic mystery is because it is slow. It is certainly not a thriller, in my opinion. I see some people classify it as a thriller, but definitely not. I think, if anything, a mystery. But it is slow, and it is so character-driven, alongside the plot also being a key component, as is typical of a mystery. So for me, it reads like a literary mystery because I think you get that lit fic vibe in this book, and you get the mystery element of trying to figure out what is going on with these disappearances. The pacing felt somehow simultaneously urgent and like you had time to really spend with these characters. You spend a lot of like in between weird moments with the characters in this book. So for example, like sitting on the bunk bed at summer camp, and it's like the scene is set so well for that. Or you're like with one of the cops in her car while she's on her commute for part of this book, and just getting some like regular daily life action and internal thoughts. It just feels like the layers of the onion are being peeled back at like a glacial pace, and I loved it. I loved it. So if you're going into this expecting like a fast-paced mystery or a thriller, I don't know if it's going to be the right fit for you, but if you're willing to give a slower pace a try, this really felt like I earned that reveal at the end for having kind of gone through it with the characters, and I loved it. I thought it was such strong writing, such a strong narrative, such a strong plot. I liked the end, and I loved every step along the way. Number 7 is The Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. And I do not have the beautiful dust jacket for this book. I got it used for super cheap, and it didn't come with a dust jacket. I wish it did. So I'm actually going to put this down and put a picture up because I love the artwork on this book, and I want you all to be able to appreciate that. So this book, how do I even start to describe this? This is another one that to me feels like it kind of crosses genres. So definitely sci-fi, but more literary in the way it's written, the structure, the narrative, the characters, they just feel so much more like literary. So I'm gonna call it a literary sci-fi, even though I don't really think that's a genre or classification. But you're following sort of 3 timelines, 3 characters. First, an 18-year-old, kind of way back in history, who's experiencing things that he shouldn't be able to experience. Number 2, an author centuries later who is kind of Inception style experiencing what that first character is experiencing. And then number 3, like centuries and centuries and centuries beyond that author, you're following an investigator who is looking into an anomaly in like this time-space continuum. So you've got 3 time frames, 3 characters primarily that you're following. I might be missing some, honestly. It's a very, very complex book. And aside from that, I'm not going to say anything else about plot. If I say too much, I will ruin it. I'll ruin it. So I'm scared to say too much. I'm just going to leave it at that. You're going to have to trust me that it is worth it. And what makes this book so special for me was you are somehow taking enough time with each of those characters to really feel connected to them, or at least I did. But also the writing creates such this sense of like urgency. I was flipping through these pages like nobody's business. I read this when I was on maternity leave, like only weeks after getting back from the hospital with my baby last winter. And I was exhausted, I was tired, and this book still captured my attention and I flew through it. It is so good. It's somehow slow and fast at the same time. It's confusing, it's complex, it's interesting. It brings up a lot of moral questions. I don't want to say any more about the plot, so you're just gonna have to give it a try if that sounds even remotely interesting to you. It was a phenomenal book. I was left speechless, and it was just so beautiful and so unique. Okay, second to last here, book number 8 of my top books of 2025 was My Friends by Frederick Bachman. This book, oh my goodness, this book. I laughed, I cried. I feel like I could cry now, like literally just thinking about it. I loved this book so much. Oh my goodness. So this is a contemporary fiction novel. You are following in present day a girl who is like lost and alone in life, totally lost. And she's been inspired her whole life by this particular painting. The painting was made 25 years prior. So you're in a dual timeline. I'm noticing a lot of dual timelines in my favorite books this year. Good for me to look out for in the future when I'm picking reads. But anyway, 25 years earlier, you're also following this group of 4 friends who are living their like best summer life together in youth, holding each other together through incredible hardship, extremely challenging family dynamics and internal conflicts and struggles. And this painting was painted during that summer of those 4 friends living that life together. So you're in both timelines and worlds collide in modern day, present day in the book. And it's just an unbelievably heartwarming story about humanity and people and finding the beauty in difficult situations. And like I said, I laughed, I cried. Fredrik Backman is such a great author at writing real people, people that feel flawed and interesting and fun and emotional. And this book is no exception. I just love his writing, and this book blew me away. You can see I'm still like getting emotional just thinking about this story, and I loved it. It's just, again, similar to what I said about Hamnet, although very modern, very, very, very different writing style, but it's just like a devastating slice of everyday life. That's what this feels like. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. Just read it. Just read it. Just trust me. It's so good. Now, moving on to book number 9 of my list is The Will of the Many by James Islington. I know I'm behind, and I know everybody on the internet seems to have already talked about this book, so I will try to keep it brief here, but I couldn't leave it off this list. It really was one of my favorite books of the year. So this is just like an epic high fantasy, sprinklings so far of sci-fi, and I think perhaps moving forward in the series, there's going to be more sci-fi because I see it categorized that way. And so far I'm kind of like, yeah, sci-fi, but mostly fantasy to me. So anyway, they have a pyramid scheme style society, and the folks on the bottom are ceding or giving up part of their will to the people above them, who are then ceding will to the people above them, etc., on and up, right? So it's a hierarchy. Will can then be used for various different things. So people who have more will ceded to them have more power because they can do things like heighten their senses, make themselves stronger, imbue physical objects with the ability to like move, transport, do damage, explode, whatever, right? So will can be used in a whole bunch of different ways. And we are specifically following Viz, who is a minor who is adopted by a relatively powerful guy in this hierarchy. And Viz is, I said he's a minor, but he's like 17, right? He's about to become an adult. He's 16. And he's being sent by his adoptive father to an academy, and he's supposed to be investigating a mystery there on behalf of his father. And it's kind of just the story of Viz, his life before all of this, and at the academy while he's looking into things. This book was so good, and it really made me think. This was one that I needed like active brain engagement for because the system is complex, the world building is complex. I loved that aspect of it, and I'm so excited for the next book. I have it on hold at the library, so I'm waiting patiently for my turn for The Strength of the Few, the second book. I will be reading it the second I can read it. And this book I loved partially for that complexity and kind of having to switch my brain on and having that high fantasy vibe and the world building. But also I loved this book because it went in directions that I didn't expect every time. There was some uniqueness there. It definitely follows like a pretty typical plot structure, but things still felt fresh and new for me in here. And the end was shocking to me. Shocking and exciting. It really set up a second book well, and I left with more questions than answers, which I like for a first book. So highly recommend if you are comfortable and excited about reading complex worlds and magic systems. This is an automatic recommendation from me. Okay, and then like I mentioned, those are not all my 5-star books this year. However, I've got 3 books that I actually rated 4 stars. But I'm including them in this video today because even though I didn't rate them 5 stars at the time, I think I need to reassess that. And the reason is because I can't stop thinking about these 3 books and still want to provide them as some of my favorites of the year, even though they weren't 5 stars. So these ones are kind of outliers. I'm going to go really fast through them because they're kind of just more honorable mentions here, and remains to be seen if I still feel like this about them given some more time. So first honorable mention is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by S.A. Chakraborty, or Shannon Chakraborty. This is a pirate adventure fantasy, and you're following an older protagonist. She's, I think, in her 40s, and she's got a kid, and she's like a pirate on the high seas. And this is just like made me laugh out loud. It's like a true quest book, and I just had a blast with this. I loved it. It just, yeah, it made me laugh, and it was just different. It felt so different than a lot of what I had read before, especially in a fantasy realm. I might need to get into like pirate fantasies in in 2026. I don't know. We'll see. If you have recommendations, happy to take them in the comments below. Thank you so much. Honorable mention number 2 is Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. This is a contemporary romance. Our main character is pregnant. She is sort of figuring out what that means for her life. She is not with the father of her child in a romantic sense, and she's falling for someone who's been a longtime friend of hers. And so Cara Bastone just did the best job with this book. It is really, really sensitive about a lot of topics related to pregnancy and raising children and being a parent, but it's also funny, and I loved the main male character. Phenomenal, so good, like just such a good book. Honorable mention number 3 is the Bloodwing Academy series by Briar Bolen. I really liked this series. Not going to give a summary. You can go look one up. It's complex and there's a lot going on. So all I'm going to say is that this, to me, is a perfect series for someone who really likes Fourth Wing, for the academy school, murdery school vibes, and the dragon component, for someone who's super into that, but doesn't like the way that Fourth Wing went as a series. I'm kind of like an on the fence Fourth Wing person. I'm going to keep reading them. I've liked them okay up until now, but I loved Fourth Wing, and then it went kind of downhill for me. This one is going uphill for me as it goes. So just a recommendation for anyone who might be in that same situation that I was when I found this series. Loved it, really like it, can't wait to see where it's going to go. There's 2 books out, and I'm excited for the 3rd. So there you have it, my 9 favorite books of 2025 plus 3 honorable mentions. If any of these resonated with you, or if you're someone who also likes to hop around from genre to genre and kind of take the pressure off reading, really just enjoy your time with your books and your characters and your plots, then I would love to have you here with me. Please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you next time.